if you've been streaming music for, what, the last 3 years, especially in the Spotify world, you know the sound quality gap is real.
Oh, yeah.
Since 2021, we've all been waiting on the most requested, most delayed, and let's be honest, the most joked about feature in streaming.
True lossless audio.
Exactly. For so many of us, it felt like total vaporware.
Yeah.
Just never gonna happen.
Well, the wait is officially over, but not because Spotify sent out a big press release.
Yeah.
No, it's because some very dedicated reverse engineers just finished digging through the application's code.
And that's our mission today. We're going to dissect the hard, undeniable evidence that they pulled from the latest desktop and mobile app builds.
And this is way beyond rumor. We're looking at actual technical specs, user-facing text, internal warnings. All of it confirms this high-fidelity project is not only alive, but it looks, ready to launch.
So this deep dive is for anyone who's been loyal to Spotify but felt that nagging frustration watching competitors like Apple Music, Amazon Music offer higher quality for years. We need to figure out exactly what quality level Spotify is promising. And we've got the numbers now. And, maybe more importantly, the hidden costs and trade-offs the code itself warns you about.
And that's the crucial context, right? This isn't just some marginal bump in byte rate. This is Spotify finally building a feature to compete in the audiophile space.
Years after they first promised it.
Years. So we're looking for confirmation, but also, for the fine print.
Okay, let's start with the basics then, because for a lot of people, lossless just sounds like, I don't know, technical jargon.
Sure.
What does preserving all the information from an original recording actually mean for the human ear?
It's a great question, and it really comes down to math and data management.
Okay.
So think about the standard streaming quality most people use. Like Spotify's highest tier now is 320 kilobits per second.
320 kilobps.
Right. That's a compressed format. So to save bandwidth, to save storage space, the algorithm basically finds parts of the original recording that it thinks are least noticeable.
Like really high frequencies or something.
Exactly. Very high frequencies, subtle background details, and it just throws that data out.
So it's kind of like turning a high-res photo into a smaller JPEG. You keep the main image, but you lose some of that texture and nuance.
That's a perfect analogy. When you go lossless, you stream the entire file bit for bit exactly as it left the studio. So in theory, this allows for much better dynamic range.
The louds and the quiets.
Right. The contrast between the quietest and loudest parts and just overall better detail. If you have good headphones or speakers, you should hear a real difference in clarity.
And that's what people have been demanding for years.
For years.
And the history of that demand is, I think, really important here. You mentioned the 2021 announcement of the hi-fi tier. That was a huge deal.
And then, nothing. Crickets. Spotify never gave a clear reason for the delay. They certainly never offered a new timeline.
It was almost astonishing. They make this huge announcement. They even partnered with The Weeknd for the launch video.
Yeah, and then the entire project just went into a black hole of silence. I mean, it literally became a meme, the tech world's version of Waiting for Godot. Everyone just assumed it was canceled.
Especially because of what their competition did.
Oh, absolutely. That was the pivot point. While Spotify was silent, Apple Music made this massive customer-friendly move.
They just gave it away.
They rolled out both lossless and high-res audio to all their existing subscribers at no extra cost. Amazon Music did the same. Suddenly, Spotify, the leader in streaming, was offering inferior sound.
At the same price point.
At the exact same price.
Oh.
So the pressure on this eventual rollout is just enormous because they are so late to the party.
So, okay, after all that waiting, let's get into the evidence that kills the vaporware joke.
Yeah.
What really stood out to you when the engineers started pulling these strings from the code?
I think the most fascinating thing is just the sheer polish of what they found. This wasn't some, stray line of experimental code.
Right.
These were robust, fully written help cards and marketing text, stuff designed to be seen by a normal user. And when a company writes instructions on how a feature works,
it means it's pretty much done.
It means development is complete and they're just getting the interface ready.
Okay, so here's the first big indicator about how they plan to market this. In those help cards, we have a direct quote about this subscription. I'm going to quote this directly from the code finding. Lossless music, now in premium.
And that is the line everyone is talking about. But it's still a bit open to interpretation, which is why we need to unpack it.
All right, let's assume the worst case scenario first. Spotify has always said that high-res audio uses way more bandwidth, which means higher costs for them.
Mm-hmm.
Given that Apple and Amazon are eating that cost, wouldn't it make sense for Spotify to launch a new, more expensive Premium Plus or Premium tier? Maybe that's what Now in Premium is hinting at.
That's the traditional business logic, and honestly, I would put money on a price hike. But if you connect this to the bigger picture, to their competitive disadvantage, charging extra is a really tough sell.
They lost a lot of credibility with the delay.
A ton. If they launch this feature, the same one their competitors offer for free, and charge an extra $5 or $10 for it, they risk a massive number of people just jumping ship to Apple Music.
So the competitive reality might force their hand? They might have to fold it into the existing premium plan just to catch up.
I think they might have to. They need a huge PR win after all this silence, and giving this away would be that win.
Okay, so regardless of the price, let's look at the actual tech specs in the code that confirm the quality level.
This is where it gets really clear. The code defines the quality as, quote, the best sound quality on Spotify for music in up to 24-bit 44.1 kilohertz.
All right, so walk us through what those numbers actually mean. That's the core technical takeaway here.
Absolutely. The 44.1 kilohertz part is the sampling rate, and 24-bit is the bit depth. So 44.1 kilohertz is the exact same sampling rate as a compact disc, a CD. And 24-bit depth is actually superior to the 16-bit depth of a CD. This combination confirms it's CD-quality, true lossless audio.
So we're moving from the current highest quality, 320 kilohertz, to 24-bit, 44.1 kilohertz lossless. What does that jump feel like in terms of, data?
It's massive. A 320 kilobps stream uses far less data. For true lossless at this quality, you're looking at a data rate of maybe 1,100 to 1,400 kilobps.
So you're talking about 3 to 4 times the data consumption.
At least, which explains why every single warning card we found focuses so heavily on connectivity.
And the evidence is consistent across platforms, right? This isn't just a desktop thing.
Not at all. People digging into the mobile builds found the exact same language. Say hello to the best sound quality on Spotify, listen to high-fidelity music in up to 24-bit 44.1 kilohertz.
That consistency really points to a unified rollout strategy.
And critically, it seems the feature is already baked into the current app builds. It's just deactivated. Spotify basically just has to flip a switch on their end.
Which feels like it's imminent.
It signals a launch preparedness we just haven't seen before.
All right, now let's get to the part that matters most for you listening. The practical side of this. The logistics, the warning Spotify themselves felt they had to include. Because lossless is not a free lunch.
It is definitely not. The first big warning is about the catalog, which is key. The code says certain songs might not be available in lossless yet.
So that tells us two things. One, they're not getting the entire lossless catalog all at once.
And two, they're managing user expectations right from the start.
So you might turn this feature on, look up your favorite deep cut track, and still be streaming the old 320 kilobp version, which could be frustrating after waiting this long.
Precisely. And the second warning is the data consumption we just talked about. The code directly warns that if your internet connection is weak, if you're on spotty Wi-Fi or slow 4G, the app might just drop the quality down.
Or you might just get buffering.
Or you get buffering.
That dynamic quality drop is a huge point of friction, isn't it? I mean, if you're paying extra or just using 4 times the data, only to have the app constantly downgrade the audio because your subway connection is poor.
The practical benefit just vanishes. It really highlights the paradox of mobile lossless streaming. The quality is highest when you're standing still with perfect Wi-Fi.
But most people want this on the go.
Exactly. When connectivity is inconsistent, you really have to consider that trade-off. If you have a strict data cap, streaming lossless could blow through your monthly allowance in a few days.
Okay, moving beyond just the connection, another fascinating detail was the advice on listening gear. The code says that lossless is best enjoyed on devices compatible with Spotify Connect and/or wired devices.
That is a very, very pointed statement, and it speaks to the reality of audio physics. They're basically telling you, you need good equipment to hear this difference.
And the reference to wired devices is a subtle knock on Bluetooth, right?
It's an implicit acknowledgement that most standard Bluetooth connections, which use lossy codecs themselves, will just compress the audio again before it even gets to your ears.
So it negates the whole benefit.
It completely negates the benefit. So to really get what you're paying for with 24-bit audio, you're either using a dedicated device with Spotify Connect or you're plugging in good headphones, maybe through a DA.
A digital to analog converter.
Yeah. This is not a feature for your standard, cheap wireless earbuds.
So it manages expectations perfectly. If you listen on regular wireless earbuds, the difference might be negligible. and the data cost just isn't worth it.
Exactly. It positions this feature squarely for users who've already invested in a decent audio setup.
Stepping back, the psychological shift from all this is maybe the biggest story here. For years, the community really questioned if Spotify had just shelved this project.
I mean, we all did.
The fact that they're shipping polished help cards, warnings, marketing lines, it confirms the project is very much alive.
Yes, the viability is confirmed. But now the focus shifts completely to the business and logistics questions that are still out there.
And we have to come back to the elephant in the room, pricing. We know the snippet says now in premium, but we still don't know if that means the existing plan or that rumored higher price tier.
And that one decision will define their competitive position. If they charge extra, they are betting that their recommendation engine and their ecosystem are enough to justify the added cost over Apple Music.
The big bet.
It's a huge bet. If they go free, they immediately become competitive on quality. If they charge, they better have something else really major in that new tier to stop people from leaving.
And we still don't have a launch date, which is still the most frustrating piece of this whole puzzle. The feature is built, it's sitting there behind a toggle. Are we weeks away, or is this another 6-month almost there phase?
The timeline is a total unknown, and that uncertainty extends to the scope of the rollout. We talked about the catalog gaps, but you also have to consider how complex it is to implement this across all platforms.
Right, Spotify runs on everything. Phones, desktops, smartwatches, web players, cars.
Consoles, yeah. Ensuring a seamless performance across that whole ecosystem is a massive logistical hurdle that could really slow down a full global launch.
Plus all the little user interface details. Do you have to manually switch quality settings, or will the app do it intelligently?
Yeah.
Those things will determine if the feature is a delight or just a constant headache.
So for you, the listener, the synthesis of this code dive is pretty clear. If you've stuck with Spotify through all this, the high-quality audio you wanted is absolutely built.
It's real.
It's real. The specific 24-bit 44.1 kilohertz quality, the Spotify Connect integration, the placement in premium, it all proves the feature is ready to launch.
But the final success of this whole thing will depend entirely on the specifics that are still hidden. The price, the speed of the rollout, and how quickly those catalog gaps get filled.
They've built the feature, now they have to execute the business strategy flawlessly.
So here's a final thought for you to mull over, building on all those warnings about data usage and connectivity.
If Spotify is finally delivering this quality, but it requires such good connectivity and uses so much data, will the availability of this tier actually push the most dedicated users to switch their habits?
You mean away from streaming?
Exactly. Will it push them toward downloading more tracks to their devices for offline listening, just to guarantee that perfect quality, and in doing so, fundamentally change the core listening habit for their most dedicated customers? Something to think about as this rolls out.